You were always smarter. I was the one to tag along. I remember how it started.
Hi, I'm Andrew Harris with Confluence Outfitters, and I would like to welcome you to our YouTube channel. We're going to make it our mission to do regular fishing reports on our YouTube channel, and each segment is going to have different sections where we bring in different guides, because we have over 10 guides on our guide service and we'd like to introduce you to all of them. And we also have a lot of different destinations that we're going to highlight in these fishing reports. And of course, we're going to talk about current fishing conditions. Let's start with where our guides are fishing this week. So right now it's kind of prime time for a lot of our different fisheries. November is one of our busiest months for guiding. So we have guides spread out all the way from the Lower Sacramento River in Red Bluff and Redding, all the way up to the Upper Rogue River in Oregon and everywhere in between. I have talked to Dax Messett yesterday. He's on the Rogue tomorrow. He was there guiding the last few days. And he said it's really inconsistent. He says it'll be really good one day and really tough the next. Just kind of typical steelheading, but they've had days where they've swung up as many as 5 fish, adult steelhead, in a single day. And they've had days where they've caught nothing in this past week. So kind of all over the map. And our guide team on the Upper Rogue is a little different. It's Spey only. So I've got Gino Bernero, Dax Messett, Leslie Geraty, and those are our prime Rogue River guides, and they are Spey only. So if you're looking for a Spey trip up on the Rogue, we're an excellent choice. The other guides that I've talked to lately have been on the Trinity River, and we have kind of a funny thing going on right now on the Trinity. I call it the Confluence Outfitters Trinity River Private Water Program, because it seems like we are pretty much the only guide service over there these days. The word's out that the fishing is really tough, and that's definitely true compared to previous years. But I talked to Randy and Gino and Andreas Furman and some of our other guides who've been over there, and they're getting, a typical day would be 1 to 2 adult fish per boat. Yesterday, Randy and his clients swung up 3 fish on a Spey only trip. So there are fish around, and one of the funny things is when there are fewer fish, fortunately, there's hardly any other anglers. That's one nice thing, because if it was slow and crowded, that would really suck. But I think the odds are tilted a little bit in favor. It kind of evens out things a little bit between the Spey only guys and the nymph guys when there's fewer fish around. So the reports I've heard from both the nymph guys and the Spey only guides are pretty similar. 1 to 2 fish, adult fish per day, sometimes a little better. The other fishery that we're fishing constantly these days is the Lower Sacramento River from Redding to Red Bluff. I'll be out there tomorrow doing a trout spade trip from my jet boat. I'll be out on a drift boat trip on the following day on Friday. We have guides fishing everywhere from the Posse Grounds up in Redding down to Red Bluff this week. Right now the fishing has generally been really good. There's been times when it's been a little tougher. We have a mix of egg bite and bug action going on right now. The salmon are spawning in pretty decent numbers, and there are reds all the way down to Red Bluff and beyond, which makes things nice because as we're floating down the river, fishing egg patterns, there's reds kind of spread out. They're not just all in like a 3-mile stretch of the river like they are in early October where they're all up by the Posse Grounds. This time of year there's salmon spawning kind of here and there all the way down through Red Bluff, and that makes the salmon egg imitation game a lot of fun. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing a trout spade trip using my jet boat. And this is a really common trip for us. Brian Coleman does these trips. I do them on the Lower Sac. We have guides who do trout spade trips using their drift boats as well. The jet boat is really a great way to go because we can just hop in the boat, get to a really good spot to swing flies, not have to row through a lot of water in between. We do these trips from Red Bluff up to about Anderson. Once you get into Redding, the water for swinging flies isn't quite as good and the wading's more difficult and it's just more crowded. So typically when we do these jet boat trips, we're fishing somewhere between Anderson downstream to Red Bluff and beyond. The Lower Sac is a really fun fishery for the trout spey. You can fish a 3-weight or 4-weight rod. Those are the trout spey rods we use the most often. 11-foot lengths in general. And there's plenty of fish out there, whether they're resident trout that are, you know, in the 10 to 16 inch range, or thin clipped or wild steelhead that are bigger, you know, sometimes up to 5 pounds. Most of them are in the 18 to 22 inch range. And these are rods that put up a great fight, and they are susceptible to trout spade techniques, to swinging flies. And it's a really fun way to spend the day, where you're basically fishing and catching the fish on your own. Rather than, you know, a drift boat guided situation where the guide's kind of doing a lot of the fishing for you, which I love that kind of fishing too. I'm going to do it on Friday. But it's a whole different experience. And the other really cool thing about the Trout Spade program is that when you're out there wading, you see a lot of things that you don't normally see if you're drifting past. And one of the things we see a lot is rising fish. So some of the best dry fly fishing I've had on the Lower Sac has been on days when we're doing our trout spade thing and we find rising fish. We always have a 5-weight single hand rod with a dry fly ready to go, and the action can be really good, especially this time of year. In each edition of our YouTube fishing report, we are going to hopefully introduce you to all of our guides. It'll take a while because we have about a dozen. So today, let's start with Luke. So Luke, where do you live?
I live here in Red Bluff. We got to do a shout out to the Enjoy Store too.
Yes, so right now we're in one of our favorite local places, the Enjoy Store in Red Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Red Bluff as well. So how long have you lived in Red Bluff?
I have lived in Red Bluff for 3.5 years.
All right, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Alaska. Born and raised in Alaska. Spent some time in the Midwest fishing for Great Lakes steelhead, and then moved out to the West Coast.
Wow. What's different about Great Lakes steelhead?
I think the river sizes are oftentimes smaller. So you're fishing like, smaller than Trinity, for instance. And the steelhead runs are pretty short. You have a window of opportunity in the fall, spring, and then it freezes over. So you can't fish in the. One of the things I love about California is you can fish year round pretty much.
We don't have to use augers.
No,
we
don't
have to drill through the ice. That's really good.
I would tie flies for about 4 months of the year. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, now you're a guide, so you probably just buy flies.
I do.
Yeah,
that's
you
true.
buy flies.
Yeah.
And so tell me about the fisheries that you guide for our guide service.
Yeah, well, I love fishing the Lower Sac here in Redding down to Red Bluff, from a drift boat, and then I absolutely love fly fishing on the Upper Sacramento River from Dunsmuir down, and I actually love targeting big fish in the fall and winter. That's what I really enjoy that.
On the Upper Sac?
On the Upper Sac, yeah. I don't know if this is true, but my theory is that there's big fish from the lake that come up in the winter and fall, winter, and spring. So I've caught a few big ones.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. So that's a great intro to Luke. Now, Luke's also been out on the water this week. So tell me, how's it been? Where have you been?
Well, we did a long drift. We actually did posse ground all the way down to the Anderson River Park. The water dropped to just under 5,000 CFS, so it wasn't quite as big of a river. So we didn't back row as much, but we floated quickly, and it was pretty slow for the morning, but it definitely picked up in the afternoon. Mostly on bug activity. It wasn't as much eggs, which was surprising.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, were you still seeing a fair number of salmon on reds?
Yeah, lots of reds, lots of salmon. We picked up a few fish here and there, but it was definitely not, I think a couple weeks ago it was a lot better on eggs for us.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you'll be out Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday.
Excellent.
It was great too because we weren't playing bumper boats. I think I only saw 2 other boats the whole day. So
that's nice.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Well, excellent.
Okay. There you go.
There you go.
So hey, I am new to Confluence. I just started guiding for you guys somewhat recently, so I'd love to actually interview you.
He's turning the tables.
It is,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna really grind you down.
Okay.
Figure out all the nuts and bolts of running an outfitter.
Okay.
So I'd love to know what separates or what makes Confluence different from the other guide groups out there.
It's a good question, and it's a lot goes into that. It's a combination of our instructional nature, the variety of the techniques that we embrace for trout and steelhead, and the variety of venues that we fish. So I would say at our core, we're a very instructional guide service. We love fishing with beginners. I think we really excel at introducing people to the sport. I think, whether it's day 1 or day 1000 for you as an angler, I think we have a lot to offer as a guide service, as individual guides and as a team. So, not only are we a really instructional guide service, and we get shout outs from other people in our peers in the guiding community. I see it on our Facebook page where other guides will remark, these guys are great instructors. And so that really, I love to see that because I feel like that defines us to a large degree. Our venues we have a kind of a bewildering array of venues, from the Lower Sac in California, this Redding, Red Bluff area, all the way up to the Rogue River drainage in Oregon. Our busiest venues would be the Lower Sacramento River, the Trinity River, the Rogue River, both the upper and the lower. And the other thing that really distinguishes us are the techniques that we embrace. And I think a random angler could book 10 guide trips in the western states and spend 10 days guide fishing for trout and steelhead and do nothing but nymph and indicator fishing. I mean, the odds are that's probably what would happen. So I think that's fine. There's a reason we all do a whole lot of nymph and indicator fishing, is because it's incredibly effective. I do it all the time. I like it. All of our guides are expert nymph and indicator fishermen. You don't get very far as a guide in Oregon or California if you're not an expert nymph angler. But is nymphing with an indicator all there is to fly fishing? No, it's not. I mean, there's so many things other than that, and our guides really embrace fishing these different techniques. So, I mean, locally, just on the Lower Sac, you can get out of your boat, you can wade fish. We have, at times, excellent dry dropper fishing, excellent dry fly fishing. You can stay in the boat and fish without an indicator with nymphs and do fairly well. And you get to feel the grab. You can side drift without an indicator, which is a lot of fun. Then there's the whole world of Trout Spades, which I feel our guide service has pioneered on the Lower Sac. And that's just a really fun way to fish, and it's different. And so we get a lot of people who have fished the Lower Sac dozens of times, but they want to learn how to do it a different way. And that's kind of our thing. So I'd say we're the go-to guide service for that.
You're kind of talking about the progress of fly fishing, right? Where some people might start out, I don't know. I started trying to dry fly when I was like 7 or 6, and I wasn't very good at it. But then I got into nymphing, and then I think over time you start hearing about spey, and it's like, oh, I got to get into spey fishing. So Confluence would be a great place to go, kind of move throughout the different varieties and techniques of fly fishing.
And one of the best things about fly fishing is there's a lot of ways to do it. They're all fun. We all get to pick what we want to do and things that we like. For some of us, that means 100% of the time I'm fishing nymphs and indicators because that's the best odds of catching the most fish most of the time. And for some of us, that means, we're crusty dry fly only guys, or we're spey only guys. I have 4 people on my guide staff who do nothing but spey only steelhead trips. So we are kind of the go-to spey guide service on the Trinity and the Upper Rogue. There's a lot of other great Spey-only guides out there as well. But that is a big niche that we fill on those rivers also.
So Confluence is really focused on not only helping people catch fish, but also wants to help people become better anglers when they're going out. We have guides from Northern California, Oregon, so kind of like all over, lots of different fisheries. We didn't even really talk about Hat Creek, Fall River,
destinations.
Creek, yeah.
And we'll highlight those in subsequent issues of this YouTube fishing report. We'll try to touch on each one.
So let's say somebody wants to become more proficient in their Spey fishing. What are some ways to get into that?
So we do multi-day Spey camps, and we do them on the Lower Klamath River, and we do them on the Southern Oregon coast near Gold Beach. So we just finished up our Lower Klamath Spey camps. We do those in September and October. With those, we do weekend camps that go midday Friday to midday Sunday, and then we do midweek camps that are 3 nights, midday Monday to midday Thursday. Now, we're coming up on our winter Spey stay season, and so those start in January and go through February. We're doing 5 camps. They're 4-night, 3-day camps. So you show up in the evening, you stay 4 nights, so you have 3 days of guided fishing. We feed you excellent food. You fish with Gino and Dax and some of our other guides on the Southern Oregon coast, Spey only. And then you, after your 4th night, we feed you breakfast the next day, and then you hit the road.
Awesome.
And it's a great program if you've already gotten your feet wet with Spey casting. Maybe you've done some summer steelhead fishing, like on the Trinity or the Upper Rogue, and now you want to branch out and do some more winter steelheading with some heavier rods, 7 and 8 weight rods, heavier tips, bigger flies, which present a series of new challenges if you haven't done that before from the casting perspective.
Like putting a hook in your back.
Right. Right, exactly.
I've done that before. So,
I think we all have. Guides know where to stand.
Yeah.
Know where to not get hooked. You probably noticed that. So learning those techniques for fishing the bigger rods, bigger flies, the winter Spey stays are an excellent opportunity to do that.
Okay.
And it's a fishing program. It's not a casting program. It's we're fishing the whole time.
Okay.
And you're learning the whole time. So we have 3 camps in January and 2 in February, and right now I have 5 spots left. So get on it if you're interested.
All right. So that's a lot of fishing opportunities.
Lots of fishing opportunities coming up. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, this is Andrew Harris with Confluence Outfitters. I'd like to encourage you to like our Facebook page, check out our Instagram account, check out our website, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.